All right. So, has your journey or the relationship that you've had forced you to be in your masculine energy, not allowing you to really be in that feminine energy that you truly want to be? Well, join us on our last episode of the season as we explore how embracing both and celebrating both your masculinity and your femininity can actually lead to greater self-confidence. Ladies, let's get Latin. Let's get loud. Here we go. All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the Let's Get Latin show. I am your host, Abby Blackburn. Super excited that you're here. And I'm going to introduce my amazing, beautiful sister, co-host, Diana.
Hey,
How are you?
good. How are you?
Good, good. Super excited. So I want to just jump right in by saying we are so excited about this episode. As a matter of fact, the entire show, this is the one that we were like, okay, can't wait to get to it. Can't wait to get to it. So just super excited about it. But ladies, grab your wines, grab your tequila, grab whatever. Hopefully you can block out the next 25 or so minutes for some you time, because you time is so important, mujeres. We're mamas. We're the everything probably in all of our families' lives. And we do all the things. This is your little bit of time, your little bit of moment to get back what you need, to motivate you, to help you just give you the energy that you need to deal with life. Okay. That's kind of one of the reasons I needed this show. I was like, I need to do a show to help women find their voice and to help them find that, go through their journey. You're not alone. We're here to support you. And for those of you that have been watching us before we close this out, which is going to be for a minute, but I wanted to thank each and every one of you for being here and being with us on this journey.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So, let's get into it. So I've been super excited. I know, Dinah, we were talking about this one. We were like, oh, yeah, this is going to be a great episode to do because just for me personally, my journey has, like, I've always been a loud girl. Like, that's just not, just grew up that way. Just
Right.
my own voice and really kind of owning it, learning all the things, right? But one thing that I have learned just in my life and in my journey is I have definitely been forced in my life to definitely step up my masculinity energy. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I wanted that role and that I felt like I wanted to be that role, even though as confident or as loud as I can be, doesn't always necessarily mean that a woman who is, kind of like me, confident or just outgoing and, all of those kinds of things, we're kind of loud, that we want to be in the masculine role or energy all the time. But my life has kind of led me to owning that energy more. And I find it really hard to have a feminine energy. Not that I don't have a feminine side, but I find it really hard to sit in it.
Right.
Just because of my circumstances and in my life. So I'm excited to kind of see how this conversation goes because, we've got some tips, we've got some stories that we're going to share, but also learning how it is a balance. Like we should, as women, should have a little bit of both. More definitely, I believe in the feminine side, feminine energy, but everybody, including women, should have a little masculine energy in them, in my opinion, just so you're not getting walked over, you're not getting pushed over, right? You're accepting your space and allowing who you are to be. And sometimes that takes you to be a little more masculine in energy so that you don't let people rob you of your life. And anyway, what are your thoughts?
For masculinity versus feminine energy, I think, especially society today, the way things are, women are forced into, like you said, stepping into the masculine energy role more prevalently than used to be. It could be for economic reasons. Maybe you're the single provider of a household or a single mother, which kind of leaves you with the whole plate. Or it could be, that maybe the way that you were raised was, to be independent, highly independent,
Mm.
because you were taught not to depend on a man, and that you could do it all on your own. So there's various reasons why we get forced or taught to step into that role. And I've learned that if you don't have the fine balancing act of it, it can become very overwhelming, and you can find yourself in a space that you never really signed up for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you said that you find yourself in a space that you never signed up for. And then the opposite, well, and then you can take that one step further, is you find yourself in that space and then you don't know how to let go of that space when
Mhm.
you do find a partner who is willing to step up and be the masculine role, right, in your
Right.
family, in your life, but you don't know how to let go. And I've done this and I'm totally guilty of it, is I don't know how to let go of that masculine energy and be like, just I think it was yesterday or today, my husband and I, we went to go get dog food and I was like, nope, I'm going to be the feminine. I am not going to grab it, even though I'm completely capable, because
Right.
we are capable of doing just about anything and everything, right?
Mhm.
I could have grabbed it. It was 35-pound bag of dog food. I could have put it in the carriage and I was just like, no. It's like, can you grab this for me, please? You know, um, which takes a lot for me because I have learned to own that masculine energy for such a long time. I'm 44 years old, right?
Right.
So learning how to almost shed that can be a big struggle because you feel like you're losing control and you don't and it comes also from not being able to rely on people. And so
Mhm.
you feel like, man, if I let that go and then this person lets me down, well, now I look like an idiot. See,
Right.
shouldn't have done it. Right.
Well, I think the masculine role ties in very closely hand in hand to trusting factors. So, like, you will see certain women, they're like, oh my goodness, like, their husband asserts this masculine role and she's able to be in her soft era and be in her feminine. So it's very easy for women to become envious of that and say, like, I really want that, but I don't have that, without looking at the factors as to why you don't have that. You might not have a partner who you trust in to pick up that masculine slack, which makes you have to put those pants on and continue to do all of the things that make you stand in this masculine energy.
Yeah. And I've seen the opposite too, where you can be a really feminine, but then something happens in your life, whether it's a divorce or something, very tragic like that. And now you're forced to learn how to have this masculine energy and do the things that maybe your spouse used to do for you and you
Right.
have no clue how to do it. So I'm a big believer in finding the balance in
Yeah.
both. I believe every woman should have that feminine energy, know how to use it and own it, but also learn how to have the masculine energy, but lessen it,
Yeah.
not be so high in it, right? But we've mentioned there are things in life that just forces us to be in that place. But even if you're single, as a single mother, right? Single or single mother raising children, you have to have both of those energies for your children to teach them things. But as moms, I mean, I know I was a single mom for a while and we tend to be a little more rougher with our kids and our words and how we do things with them because we feel like, man, I gotta, kind of, I can't let these kids walk all over me. But the older I've gotten, I've learned that I can still be feminine. If I was single, or yeah, if I was a single mom again back in the day, what I would change is learning how to be just a little more feminine. I can still teach them all the same things that I taught them now up till now,
Right.
right? But have been softer with it. And in some cases, not so harsh in teaching them because I felt like I had to be that masculine energy, like, that leveled up, uh,
Right.
which can sometimes be a little too much for our kids. Like, let's
Right.
just be
Well, and
honest.
sometimes, depending on how many kids you have, you could feel outnumbered.
Yeah,
So it's like I have to assert this dominance so that I get the respect. Like, if it wouldn't be really hard for a child to necessarily respect the male of the household.
right.
So, mom's always the one that they feel like they can kind of get over, hit on her soft side, and she'll break down eventually, like, break her down to get what you want.
Yeah,
So it
totally.
makes you feel like I got to step it up a notch. But yeah, there's definitely a good way to find balance. That it's a very thin line between a fine balance and doing an imbalance of one too much of the or the other.
Right. Yeah. It really is about learning how to balance um, that side, of both things. So let me ask you a question. I mean, I talked a little bit about, me being in my masculine so much, and I'll talk in a little bit some of the things that I did. What are, and I know that you have in your own life and journey lived in more the masculine energy
Mhm.
for a long time. What are some things that you've gotten or that you've done to help you kind of bring in more of that feminine energy, and kind of what in talking before, what are some of the things that you're doing now?
Um, so a lot of the things that I do now is kind of assess what I'm going to do before I do it. Is it something that necessarily I have to do, or is it something that I can ask my partner to do? Um, if I keep saying like I have this thing I keep saying like I'm in my soft era now. I don't want to be yelling. I don't want to be raising my voice. I want it done. I'll ask you, please do it. Or I can do it on my own, but I want to just be living my life a lot more gently. To appreciate, I've done all the raising of my kids and having to be harsh and having to do this and that. Now it's my time to just enjoy my peace and my space. So a lot of it is assessing, well, is that something that I necessarily have to do? I have an example of my blinker needing to be fixed. My light was messed up, and my partner saying, "Oh, you haven't fixed your light yet." And I'm like, "No, I'm waiting for you to do it." And he was like, "Oh, yeah, I can do that." Now, mind you, I could just go right there to AutoZone, have them give me the part. It's not hard to put in at all. But I feel like it's not my role and I no longer want to pick up things that I don't have to. And if I have someone that's more than willing to do it, then I have to give him the space to be able to do it.
Yes.
Being highly independent makes that difficult. So I have to kind of tone that down because I was finding myself stressed because I had so much on my plate, but I was the one kind of adding the stuff on my plate. It wasn't necessary that I had to pick up all these things.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think, and one of the things that we were talking, I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things we were talking about was how um, two things that men truly want, right? The first one is to be respected. They
Mhm.
want to be respected. That's their, like, their woman, their wife, their partner. They want that respect for them to know, like, hey, when I say something, I mean it, and I want you to respect what my feelings, all of those things. The other thing that they want is to feel needed,
Yeah.
right? They want to know that you need them. And so that's the beauty of learning the balance in the feminine and the masculine energy. Is if we sit too much in our masculine, we make them feel like we don't need them. Like, I
Right.
don't need you. I can do this all by myself. And then he's wondering, well, why am I here? And half the time that's why they go find someone else who makes them feel
Need.
needed and wanted.
Mhm.
Right. So if that's a struggle that we're having, it's good to self-reflect and be like, okay, where am I sitting in? Have I allowed my partner to see that I need him? Women, we are capable of so many things. Your journey in your life has shown that. My journey, my life has shown that, right? But are we so stuck in our ways that we're not seeing that we're actually a part of? If we're wanting more, we could be the reason why we're not getting more if we're sitting in our masculinity for too much, too
Right.
long, right? And not allowing our mate or spouse to feel that need, that, hey, you know what, you're right, I could do it, but I would so appreciate it if you did it. That would be amazing. I really need you to do that for me. That would be wonderful, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. Everybody always needs help, needs help at one point or another. That's not weakness.
I like to think of it as if I had fallen ill and I was sick. Well, when you're sick, you tend to treat yourself a lot more gently.
Mm,
So I like to think of it as if I were more frail because I wasn't feeling at my best, would I necessarily feel the need to do all of these extra things? Or would I be like, okay, I want to be treated softly. I want to be treated dainty. And I know for a lot of women, it's like, well, I'm not dainty. I can handle myself. And there's nothing wrong with that because we can. But why do you need to? So just imagine if you were feeling ill or you were going through something in your life, how much you would want to appreciate that softness that you could have that is going to add to your own peace. So it's not really about the other person or like, it's about yourself, and if you have a partner who would never pick up the slack that you need to stand in your own feminine energy, then that may not be the right relationship for you. It might be a toxic relationship. But every woman has the right to be able to stand in her own feminine energy and her own feminine power.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's why I said my journey very much led me to living and being and owning that masculine energy so much. And I'm a very strong, independent person, woman, right? So I do struggle with, hey, I'm learning how to become more feminine, learning how to say, yes, I need help. Yes, could you please help me? I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much for doing that, right? Because if we want better relationships,
Yep.
right, apart from a narcissistic, toxic relationship, right, which maybe on the next season we'll do some episodes on that, but we really have to look at ourselves too. Like if we're not happy in our relationship, write it down. What's missing? What is it that we're not happy with? Why are we not happy with it? But then assess yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because every relationship, it has to start with you. It has
Yep.
to. Every relationship, whether it's with your mother, your father, your family, your siblings, your children, your spouse, if there's something that you don't like about that relationship, you got to start inward first, right? Because it's very easy to look and say, well, they don't do this, they don't do that, they do this, they annoy me, here's blah, blah, blah. But how do you contribute to it?
Right.
What are you doing? How do you make it better? Right. And how is that how is that translating in the relationship? But when it comes to, I'm mainly talking about, a spouse, partner, right? Look at what's missing. What are you not liking? And look at this part of it. How much are you sitting in your masculine energy? How much respect are you giving? How much are you showing? How much appreciation are you showing? Right. I have to do that even for myself. Been married 17 years, but it's been an up and down battle, craziness, right? And you do have to, it's so easy to look and go, oh, you're the problem. But then if you like you point one finger forward, pointing back at you,
Right.
you got to look at yourself and say, okay, let me start with me.
Right.
And I like what you were talking about, like, hey, I'm living in my feminine,
My soft era.
soft era. Thank you. That's always, I knew that wasn't right. And you're like, okay. And so it's a mindset.
It is.
A shifting that and saying, okay, how do I become more soft? How do I not have to be so masculine? And those are the things that I'm working on as well, is like saying, oh, you got this. You're awesome.
Yeah.
You're so much stronger than me. Can you
Well,
please?
I have friends who have been single moms for a very long time and the only financial provider, within their household. So they had to be the head of their households, which makes
Yeah.
you step into your masculine role. And then they get into relationships and they find they don't, because when you're like that, they're like, oh, I just want someone to take off this burden off of me so that I can just be a woman and I can just come home, cook and clean and, be with my man and, let him take charge. But then when that presents itself, it becomes a problem because it's very hard to learn when to hang that up. So it's definitely a tool of breaking the cycle within ourselves so that we can retrain ourselves. And like you said, it starts with the mindset. And if we weren't happy being there, and there's nothing wrong with being there, but being there too much all the time is burdensome. So if we're not happy with that, then we definitely do have to look inwards and make the changes to soften that out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah. So, there obviously every journey is different. Everybody's journey is different. That may have led us to sitting in more of a masculine energy versus a feminine energy. But, do a self examination. And this is a tip that I would give to everyone. This is something that I've done. Sounds like it's exactly what you've done. Sit and write it down. Like, where am I at right now? How do I feel? Look, examine your relationships and kind of rate them. Like, which ones make you the happiest? Which ones aren't making you happy? Why do you think those reasons are? What are your reasons why they're not making you happy? But look back at yourself and say, am I sitting in too much of a masculine energy in this relationship? Can I soften myself? Can I sit more and learn how to become more of that feminine energy in this relationship and see how it goes, right?
Right.
It's trial and error in relationships. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. No one's ever going to be perfect, but how close can we get if we balance the two energies? And in some relationships, you might have to sit a little bit more masculine. When let's say you're a single mom with boys, right? They're going to taste. And then as they get into teenagers, my son definitely did. So, you might have to sit a little bit more, but then with your girls, maybe not so much. Or when you're with your spouse or your mate, you really don't, maybe you don't. And if you do too much, then you might need to look at that relationship and say, is it the right relationship for you? Right.
Well, and also if you're not, especially if you're raising children, if you're not mastering the balancing act, your kids don't have an example to be led by, because our kids are visual learners. So they're watching us. Are you hyper independent? Because then your children are going to learn to be hyper independent and not ask for help. Or are you teaching your daughters, like we were taught, well, we can do it all, can't depend on a man because the man might not always be there. So you have to do it on your own, which is great for, being independent, because being independent is important.
Life
Yeah,
skills.
it's important, but it isn't everything. So you have to learn also when to, tone that back. And your kids are going to learn that from you, whether it's your son or your daughter. So
Absolutely.
even if you have sons, like your sons, you can teach them to cook, clean, make a living. But if they're doing it all in a hyper independency, they're not leaving space for their woman to also add to that partnership.
Yep. Yeah. I'm glad that you brought up kids, because it's so true. Like, our example, our kids are constantly looking at our example. We may not say a lot of things, but they are always looking at what we do. And I have to say, I like with my oldest daughter, I was so independent. I was much younger, obviously, when I had her. So I was so independent. I was like, nope, I got to do it all. I don't ask for help. I don't do this. Well, that raised her to feel like she had to do the same thing, where she had to figure it out on her own, and she had to not ask for help. And only now, she's 23 now, in the last year, she's learned, and thankfully, with being able to show her too, is that no, we have to ask for help. We can't do everything. Mom went a little bit crazy because she didn't ask for help, right? So and that's the thing. Like, now I still have the twins at home, and teaching them, like, it's okay to ask for help. Let's help each other. I ask them for help. I'm like, hey, can you cook, please? Hey, can you clean the house, please? Like, I don't try to do it all, because I know I can't do it all, and it's going to make me crazy. I'm going to be exhausted, and I'm going to resent my family and my life if I try to do it all and sit in that masculine energy for too long or for too much, right? So that would be another tip that I would tell everybody. Ladies, ask for help. Train your kids. Like, my kids were 3 and 5, and they would clean the bathroom. You're like, you want to go somewhere? Cool. Your room's got to be clean, and you have to clean the bathroom. Those are your chores. Now, it doesn't mean they cleaned it the way I would clean it.
Right.
Right. But that wasn't the point. The point is that they learned how to contribute as part of the family. That I'm not a maid, that we're a family, and everyone in the family can help.
It's a unit.
That's what they learn. Exactly. That's what they learn. Life skills. My son, to this day, I would teach them. So they learned how to clean while they were young. They learned how to cook once a week. My two kids, older kids at the time, they were like 10 and 12 or something like that. I would taught them a couple of meals, and once a week they had to cook for the whole family. And I would let them choose. What do you want? You can I'll buy you all the things. And that's your job. I mean, they made some amazing pot pies for us and lasagnas, and I taught them how to do laundry, those things. And it's so funny because my son's 21 now, but last year he hangs out with all his friends, most of whom he was been on his own since he was 19 in his own apartment. But he hung out with a lot of friends who still lived at home. And he's like, It's crazy. Like their moms still do their laundry for them. They don't know how to do laundry. They don't know how to cook. They don't know how to do grocery shopping. He's like, I'm just like, oh my gosh. And he said to me, Mom, thank you so much
Yep.
for teaching me how to do all these things when I was young.
Yep.
And I said, I know, and you hated it, but I was like, life skills, buddy. One day when you're all alone or you get married, your wife's going to be so happy that I taught you these things because it's in partnership. She's not going to do everything and she shouldn't have to do everything on her own.
Right.
It's a partnership. You do things together. So that made me feel good, because of course our kids give us a hard time. That's what they do. It's look at them.
They always appreciate you in their older years, though, and that's always the most rewarding feeling in the world.
Yeah, it's true, because you've already got the gray hair and the bags under the eyes. At least I got something out of the deal. No. So so this is really great. This has been awesome. Ladies, leave some comments on what you're thinking, your how you feel about the masculine feminine role. Obviously, we know that we all go through our own journey, and different things that have happened to us in our life has made us either be more in the feminine energy or the masculine energy. And no one here is saying that it's bad either way. What we were excited about this episode was just sharing our stories, but also how to learn to balance it. Because I truly believe, and I think Diana too, truly believes that the more balanced we are, it's just going to make us happier, and our relationships are just going to get better with all, our partners, our children, our family members.
Or yourself, your relationship with yourself. It's
yourself. Find the balance. Teaching yourself it's okay to get help from all members. And I think that that's one thing. I will say this one thing, that sometimes as women, there are certain things that we don't like that are happening in our life, but we put it on ourselves because we're not asking for help, because we aren't saying no. It's okay to say no. It's okay to ask for help. I'm giving you permission if you needed it, not that you need it, because from a Latin perspective of a Latina, like, hello, you can do this. Come on, right. You got this. These are our opinions. These are our perspective. We were raised as very strong, opinionated, independent women. But the older we've gotten, we've also learned from the examples of others, and also learn from our own mistakes that we've made of, get help. It's okay to ask for help. Don't feel like you have to do everything. It's a partnership in your relationship, and everybody in the family unit should contribute to that happiness that you want. Don't put everything on yourself, because you're not a maid. You love your family. You want to do everything, but you're actually doing a disservice to your mate or your spouse, your partner, whatever, and your children if you don't teach them how to help, right?
And the more you thank them, your partner, or whoever's in your life who you want to become more soft for, you're doing softness for yourself, but making that space for them. The more you thank them for those small things that they've done or whatever they've done for you, the more they want to do it. So it just becomes this greater thing that grows, that allows you to take up your feminine space more and more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, this has been awesome. Thanks for being a part of my show. Super excited. Ladies that are here, please subscribe to our channel. Leave us comments.
Lots of comments.
Lots of comments. This is the last episode of season number 1. Woo-woo! We did it.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks for watching. Those of you that are here, share with your friends. Next season is going to be super exciting. We're going to get a lot more into all kinds of things. We're going to be talking about mindset, and we're going to be talking about, more confidence, overcoming guilt and self for, just taking care of yourself, assertive communication, empowering yourself, and being that woman, unshakable belief. So we're going to be getting into a lot more with mindset and just opening up, finding your voice, owning who you are, learning how to become a Latina. Okay. We're going to give you some Latin.
It's going to be spicy. You're going to love it.
You're going to be good spicy. Okay. Because there's some bad spicy out there. You don't need to be.
Right.
spicy. We want you to be the fun, spicy, unmovable girl. That's what we
And we'll
want.
be more fun next season because we were getting our feel,
Yeah.
seeing, what traction this does, trying to find topics that you guys can relate to. And
Yes.
then it's going to be a lot more interesting next season and a lot more energy.
That's right. Energy, exciting. We're going to have interviews. We're going to bring on experts. We're going to bring some of our crazy family on here and get their opinions and just lay out all the craziness on here. Well, that's going to be fun. And then, so leave us comments of what would you love to hear? What would you love to learn more about? What are some of the things that are challenges for you, struggles that you just need some support? We are your Latina supporters here, right here. We're your chicas. We're going to be here to support you. I want you to know, we want you to know that you are not alone. You are not the only one that feels the way that you feel. You're not the only one that has gone through the journey and story that you've gone through. Maybe uniquely because it is you and you are the only you, but you are not alone. And we are here to support you and want you to learn how to step up into being the woman that you truly want to be. And we want to support you to be that. So thanks so much for being here. We thank you. We will see you next season, which is going to be in probably in a few months. So we'll see you then. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.